All right. Okay. Well, one and all, I'd like to welcome you. It's Sunday, and welcome to the Art of Rock. First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge the Tongva people as being the rightful landowners of Los Angeles, California, from where I am. The traditional landowners. Oh, I said rightful there. It's the Australian coming through in me. Every Saturday, shoot me. We are here, Art of Rock, doing it live. Follow it on Angelspit's Twitch because it's booyah awesome. This is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon. Thank you so much. You're amazing. I'm very grateful. Join for $3 a month or more, or pay nothing, and most of the content is going to be free anyway, eventually. The Nebula Suite is the new album from Ice Planet 9000. I'm very happy with it. I'm actually getting reviews for it, and they don't say it sucks. Morning, Adam. So I think it's good. Patreon members always get a free release of everything I do, and we'll be getting the new Angelspit album in a month or 4. Who knows? God, it's album number fucking 12. Industrial Incisions playlist is a playlist you need to know about. Please go like it and listen to it and keep it going. Here's another thing. Wednesday nights, Vulture Culture does a deep dive into synthesizers, and it's the best fun ever. Here's Frank. If you want more amazing music, MTV TV, 24 hours non-stop from the bleeding edge. After we're done here, we're going to raid on over to that. If you want to get involved, if you've got music, if you've got a video, hi Diana, send them an email right there, and they will play it, and they're amazing. MTV has a Patreon. Alistair, it's good to see you. We got to keep MTV TV going. There's their Patreon. Let's keep it going. Also, Razi, you're a bloody legend. Jen, welcome. That's Razi's stuff, who is co-hosting this morning. What? I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I think I've just lost everything. I can't tell. That's just life, isn't it? But we are here. We are right now. So I want to start this morning with, I have a friend, and I just muted everyone's mics because I'm out of control. I've got a very good friend who has just finished their album, and then they listened back to it and they went, nah, I don't think I like this. Should I trash it? Which to me is the most terrifying thought in the world. Or should I, what do I do? So here's the first question today. Today's actually going to be good because we've got another topic which is bloody awesome. But for now, what words would you say to someone or to yourself when you listen back on the album and go, I don't like this? I'm going to throw the floor open, or if you want, I could shoot my mouth off. Okay, I'm going to shoot my mouth off. Firstly, when you're at the end of an album, you hate everything. So that's normal. Secondly, my advice is to finish the album, mix it all the way through, and pay someone else to master it. You can get people to master it for $50, $30. Don't get an AI. Pay a human. Because in our community, there's a bunch of people who master, and it's what they do to pay their rent. So pay them. Pay a human to do it. Don't take that job away. Pay a human. Don't do it yourself. There is a reason for this, and that is when you pay someone to do it, you are sealing the deal and the song is finished. Even if it's 30 or 50 or bucks or something, it's a done deal and it's done, and there are no more excuses. Secondly, design artwork and get the package ready. I can't make any decision on the music whatsoever when I'm finishing an album. In fact, today, has anyone discovered humans using AI on the site? I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe they do. I don't know. Actually, quite a few people, when they're mastering, a lot of mastering software and stuff has AIs built into them. And the AIs are going to analyze things and be offering suggestions. Yeah, that's another topic that we're not talking about right now, but thank you for bringing it up. We are talking about finishing the album. Thank you, Jen. In the last stages of an album, you can't make decisions like that because you hate it, you hate yourself, you hate everything you do. This is normal. It's awful, but it's normal. Uh, so, um, Also, I don't think it's a good idea to get friends to listen to it either. Because either, no, I don't. There's going to be two. The most valuable thing you have is your taste. And you don't fucking give them a listen to it once it's mastered. It's a done goddamn deal once it's fucking mastered. You've got to trust yourself. Um, yeah. If somebody comes back to you once it's, oh man, this is what I think of it once it's mastered, buddy, too late. Cut them off. I don't want to hear. You do not need any seeds of doubt once the fucking thing's been mastered. Yeah. Start releasing them one track at a time onto streaming services. That leads into a conversation about how much everybody hates streaming services. I don't fucking care. Your fans like streaming services, so get the music to your fucking fans. Bandcamp isn't enough. Use Spotify, use Tidal, use Pandora, use Apple Music, use YouTube, use all them others. Once a month, make sure that you've got everything in line, like all of the ownership of your site and all that, so you can pitch. This is so important. So my advice is you've just got to push through it. And this is the hardest fucking thing in the world. This is why music is a great hobby and a shit profession, is because when it's a hobby, you can go, oh, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care. But when we're going to say, I'm going to be serious about this, and 99% of people, they are. They are serious about it, and you want to make money from this. You want to make or currency, people listening to it, you getting satisfaction, whatever. You've got to fucking release it. You know, that's the worst advice in the world, because I just basically said, shut the fuck up and fucking release it. That's awful advice. I am a bastard. Ivan, help. Get me out of this.
Okay, I would say that you know, before you get to mastering, there's also the mixing thing, and that is AI is absolutely the wrong tool for mixing before you master. Like, there's no way that there's no way that it can human up enough to, you know, really know what sounds like, what is going to make that sound good. Um, but like getting the getting that early mix done right, you know, is important. And you occasionally do need other people's ears. You need somebody that's willing to say, "Oh, your hi-hats are way out of control. Bring those down a little." Um, because like, you can get into your own psychological rut on that one, and either you hate everything or you love it too much. uh if you've done a lot of video editing, you'll know that like falling in love with your footage is a bad thing. And like the difference between your footage in video and like your pre-mix audio for the different channels in or different tracks inside of the track are kind of the same thing. You have to edit that down, and I'm not going to say that that part is easy, but that needs to be handled well. And like, that would be the good time to get other people involved, because it's not too late to turn those crazy hi-hats down a little, or turn them up, depending on what direction it needs to go where, and or change something. um Once it's off to mastering, it is too late to make those kinds of changes, because now it's been printed, and now it's going to get like cleaned up and the final glossy version of it made. And finding a good human to handle making it into a final glossy version is important, because like I know your guy for mastering. He is really good, and he has helped me polish that turd.
Thank you very much. And it is about turd polishing. Like that's the best saying in music is polishing a turd. Ivan, would you like to tell us what polishing a turd means? Then I'm going to throw it to Brett.
It means taking it in its raw form and making it look and smell good.
It means taking a shit and making it not suck. Basically.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually do something crazy here because I'm a crazy guy. And I'm going to another chap you might want to look into for mastering is, hold on, I'm going to paste this in here. Can I make this work? Yes, I can. Believe I work. God, I fucking hate everything. Is Colin at the Cell. Colin Cameron. Very reasonable rates and really good result. Turd polishing. Thank you. Yeah, it is. Because in mastering and in so much stuff, you need a motherfucker who can fix shit up. Because there comes a point at the end of the process where you are utterly fucking exhausted. Like you're done. It doesn't sound like a song anymore. It sounds like mash. So maybe going to other people is a good idea. I don't know. Brett, what do you think?
So I've got a little bit of bad advice, I guess. I actually recommend you do kind of shelve it for a little while, not forever, but what I
Define a
find,
little while.
give it a month. All right. What I'm speaking to is, obvious, for me anyway. I'll get sick of listening to it. If you're gone through all the mixing and everything like that, your ears and your brain and your ability to interpret it are all just fried. So shelve it, but bring it back. Don't get rid of it. Don't, permanently throw it in a closet or anything like that. But the same things you liked about it to start with are going to come back. And if it's really a track that you do want on an album, then those things are going to become evident if you give it a little bit of time and space. You got to give yourself a rest, if you will. Everything else I agree with. Once it's gone to master, that's where you're at. But before you get there, if you're at that point where you're just like, I'm almost there, and you hate it, cool. That's the time to just sit there and be like, okay, I've got the collection of work. I'm just going to sit it here for a minute. Maybe I'm going to do something else. Maybe I'll do another track and work on the next album. And then you come back to it in a month and be like, all right, why did I shelve this stuff? And you pull it back out, you listen to it, and you're like, okay, now I know what needs to be done. You make this final edit, send it up to master, and you're good to go. That's my 2 cents anyway.
Thank you. That's great. I will say that I hate every album I release. And then 5 years later, I go, wow, this doesn't suck at all. This is actually quite good. Yes, absolutely. And maybe it's my brain type. But if I sit on something, I'll never let it out. Although that's really good advice, I don't want to take anything away from what you just said. Also, the way I work is that it will take me 18 months, 2 years to write a track, because I'll fuck with it a bit, fuck with the next one, fuck with the next one, fuck with the next one, come back. So that loop of getting stuff to a certain stage takes a while. And then once it's at that stage, and I use plug-in shitty synths, the worst synthesizer sound I can find on my fucking computer. Then I go to hardware. And the thing I love about hardware is that hardware takes so fucking much time to do anything. Like if it's a plugin, it's boom, 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 there it is, easy. But on a hardware, you got to load the samples in, fuck with the synths, fuck with the modules, fuck around, fuck around, fuck around, fuck around. But the good thing about that is that if you've got an idea, it's like forging metal. because you're running it through and running it through. By the time it's everything is sitting there on a mix using synths live before you actually like track it, those ideas are going to stand up. Because if there's, I don't know, man, there's something I don't really like about that idea, by the time it gets, you know, to the end of the going into synth tracking it department, you're going to bang those ideas out. For example, I have a song that I'm working on at the moment. It is an Ice Planet 9000 song. It is 2 lines of music, and it's turned into this 9-minute thing. And for some reason, I hated it, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I figured out there were 2 notes. 2 notes that were being played, and all I had to do was drop those 2 notes the next note down, and it made sense. It didn't sound so mushy and Nancy and you know. So oh god, Brett, I love you loading. So yes, that's a process thing. Ivan, I see your hand.
Okay, well yeah, I think the advantage of like actual hardware versus just doing everything in box is hardware makes you like more in the moment with it, you know, and more intentional with it because, you know, like, you know, if it's in the box, you can make a change just like that, and you know, and that might encourage some laziness on choices just because, well, I can fix it. But you know, actually doing it in hardware, like, you know, like the setup and teardown is already arduous enough that you 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 really like it encourages you to like do things a bit more intentionally. Like, oh, I'm turning up this LFO to here for a reason, um, because it's kind of, you know, like everything's kind of a pain in the butt. And so I need to, you know, have a reason to go through that pain, and that pain will then be worthwhile, which, you know, really helps bring up the intentionality, and of course also it helps you be in the moment a bit more because, you know, now that moment matters more.
Totally
And don't get me
agree.
wrong, I do a lot of work in just in the box, and you know, but like bringing in like actual hardware, it makes it more enjoyable just because of it being kind of a pain in the ass.
That's so true. And I had a really important thing to say and I've forgotten, but I'm going to use my I had an important thing to say voice while I'm trying to remember what the fuck it is I was trying to say. Yeah, absolutely. Nah, it's gone. Also, actually, that's another thing. I used to once upon a time. I had this shitty little MP3 player. I'm talking like in the early 2000s, and I used to put demo songs onto that. I used to put them onto tape and walk around with a Walkman. And everywhere you go, you'd be listening to the demos of your tracks, trying to figure out what's going on and making notes. I stopped doing it for quite a few years, and the songwriting process became a lot longer. As in, because I wasn't listening to it as I go, and I wasn't having an opportunity to go, you know what, that's too loud, I need to work on that. Yes, I understand that there could be issues with the earbuds that I'm using, blah, blah, blah. But from an actual songwriting musicality thing, if you can do that, definitely fucking do that. Another thing is, if you're having trouble processing stuff and figuring out is it fucking done or not, if you paint, paint. If you take photos, go out and take photos. Do the fucking dishes, but go out and create art, or you know, I'm not saying walk away from it. Rather utilize the thoughts into a different art form. Yeah, although don't get me wrong, sometimes there is a fucking time to walk away from it, but and I stress this is my issue. I have to be careful of how long I walk away from things for, because things go sour on me. So I've got to let the fucker out. Does anybody else want to jump in here?
I'll just say that, I mean, I'm doing that exact thing. I'm sitting on 4 instrumentals right now that are kind of themed against each other. It's not it'll be like a little small album, but it's one of those where, because they're instrumentals, and this is going to lead to the next things that we're planning to talk about here, but in this particular case, the work and the diligence has to be done in making sure every single note, every single instrument is in that right place, and that it's constantly doing something productive. And one of the traps that I'll fall into is, I'll initially write something. I'll be like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. And then I'll come back to it, in a week or whatever, and I'll be like, man, this is so bland. We need more. And what that does is you end up getting into that other place where it's like, now it's got too much. Now what? And it's just kind of like what you were talking about with those notes there. You end up having to come back and play surgeon after you've built this thing and start hacking off limbs.
Yeah, that's another one, and I don't want to get. You guys need to pull me in here because I might get too far off topic. Is that, like you said, if you listen back to a song and you don't like it, don't add to it, take away from it. Man, I still think that if you can attain a moment of silence in every single song, and if you're doing heavy music, you have a moment of silence in every single bar, it absolutely adds to the impact. Like, anyway, I'm digressing right now. Does anybody else want to bring up anything else on this? Like, how do you feel about the actual advice of how to finish your fucking album? This is kind of hard because does anybody want to add to that?
I think it's good advice overall. I mean, because in this particular case, you've got a couple of different perspectives. One is the, push forward, and the other is, understanding that the drive to push it forward might require you to kind of take a break and give yourself some time to process what you're trying to release.
Mm. And also, like, before you get to the mastering stage, once again, mastering's important. Pay for mastering. Because, like you guys said, it's once you master it, it's printed. It's done. It is now a commodity. It is now a product. You have to get the product out.
That's right.
Like, ask yourself with every song, does it have a bass line? Or something that resembles a bass line? Are the drums good? Are the melodies good? Are the vocals good, which we're about to get to? Do I hear everything clearly? Therefore, are the lyrics good? This is a good, then you've got a good song. And if there's anything else, it could be a mixing issue, it could be a sound design issue, it could be a lack of confidence issue. Get it out. All right. We're going to, unless anybody else wants to add to that, we're going to talk about fucking lyrics. Ivan, do you want to kick off this?
Yeah, writing lyrics sucks.
Dude.
Yeah, either you're somebody that writes lyrics or
we hate those people. They're not welcome here.
Or you're not. Because they're rough. I mean, like lyrics, it's poetry, following poetry rules and using, language to do the expression, and then on top of that, actually performing it, which takes those words and makes them even better. And like that is it's a big deal. Like, it's important. It's freaking rough. Particularly if we're not spending enough time, like if you're writing the music, you're not spending it's easy to fall into the habit of not spending enough time practicing writing lyrics, because it is a practice, it's a skill, and it needs attention, and we need to, not pretend that for us, for instance, it happens to be easy, because it happens to not be easy. But when Simon Le Bon joined, Duran Duran, one of the things that got him in was he had a big old book of already written lyrics with him when they first met him, and he was like, see, I've got all these. And you can't ignore that, because it means that the person involved is a writer of lyrics. And then he was writing good lyrics, so or better yet, he was writing his lyrics, and he was performing them to the point where they suddenly became good.
Yeah, it's all right. We understand what you're saying. It's Simon Le Bon. Please go on.
And like, nailing that it's actually rough. Like there's a small percentage of the population that's gonna just get you there with that.
Thank you. Brett, I'm going to throw it to you in a moment. And can I get everybody on the chat also joining in? So, Ivan, there's a predator in your room. Did you know that?
There's
You've
always
got
a predator in my
no,
room.
yeah, you've got a great big predator that's going. You know that thing they do just before they kill. So you need to know that you've got a predator in your room, and I think you've got to be aware of that. That at any minute there's going to be three little laser beams on your face, or so, on my face. I don't know.
As long
Um,
as Ivan's had that predator, I'm pretty sure the predator's scared of Ivan.
yeah, it's scaring in the corner. Um, Ivan, thank you for that. I totally agree with you. This is going to, if anybody's in the chat, please say something, because maybe this has crashed. I don't know what's going on. I feel therapy coming on. Brett, lead us in therapy.
It's funny you should say that. So earlier this week, I was trying to come up with some ideas for Art of Rock as well, and mine also paralleled our thoughts. It must be something in the air with lyrics and whatnot. But the title of my notes here is Music and Art Creation as a Means of Therapy. I started, my first instrument was drums. And, in high school and whatnot, I joined a high school rock band. And in my head, I was always hearing, songs and whatnot that I couldn't play on just a drum kit, and I would write lyrics and everything else to them. And I ended up being that guy with a book of lyrics. There's absolutely nothing easy about it. It is, do you like going over the same set of data 100,000 times and adding maybe one word or taking one word away? I enjoy the process, but, that's where it also becomes, a thing of, like most songs have a very, very concise, verse, chorus, break, and these are little tidbit, sentences that you can repeat and everyone can hum and sing along, right? Your A, B, A, B, C. I don't do that. And that's not my machinery. And so that's been, and that kind of goes into, what we were just talking about, where especially when you let friends and whatnot hear it, it becomes something that can all of a sudden be a thorn, especially if it doesn't go the way you think it's going to be, or the way you think it's going to go, because now you've put all of this in, and now it is actually your voice. It's not just the machinery singing, and it's not just the art, but there's something innate about the way it resonates with people now, and it defines the character of that song almost independently from the music. I mean, you could sit there and take those same lyrics and hand them, I can hand them to you, you're going to read them, and you're going to come up with okay, this song is about this. Well, the music might not give you that, but once you put the two together, they definitely tend to weigh heavier on the lyrical side. And so, where I kind of got with that is, either way it's kind of an important process to go through. And part of that is because these thoughts and whatnot that inspire it are processed differently in your brain when you put lyrics and whatnot down on paper. It's no longer just something abstract that floats around. You've materialized it some way. And there's a lot of therapeutic value to that. Even if you don't end up using the lyrics, whatever was inspiring you along the lines to write the music kind of gets codified when you think through the process of what you're trying to say now with that. And I find that is very similar to what I hear people describe journaling as. It's also in that same vein as authors writing books. They run their characters through everything until they have to literally sculpt it.
Thank you. That's actually really interesting. I've been wanting to learn how to get to it, get your actual song making. Yeah. This is a username on Instagram. Welcome. Yeah, we talk about this every Saturday morning. Honestly, I've been learning guitar and it does feel really therapeutic. Yep. Even though I'm not making something, I just found fooling around on the guitar. Baby, if that's working for you, stick to it. Like really. So I get where you're coming from. Yeah. If that works for you and if you found joy, stick to that. Like, you're not obligated to do anything. You are obligated to make yourself happy, and you are obligated to fulfill your own needs through music. And music is one hell of a lover that it will be either a fun little thing or it's a lifelong fucking god that you become a nun to worship, whatever your thing is. Holy fuck, lyrics. Thanks, Brett. You really summed that up well. Lyrics are arduous to me. They're so arduous. Like, I spend so much time on lyrics. On my phone right now, I'm going to go to my lyrics page on my phone. I don't know why I do this. God, I hate my life so much. I don't really. Life's pretty fucking awesome. Lyrics. Here we go. Scrolling. And now I'm a quarter of the way through. I have got so many fucking ideas. And you read them and you go, what the fuck is this shit about? So many ideas. And so what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to say, okay, I come up with a chorus, a really cool, catchy, strong chorus. And then I will, you know what? Then I will gather lyrics around that support the idea. And everything is moving towards the idea of the lyrics are asking a question and the chorus is giving the answer. And what I'm going to do, give me a second. I want to go into the last track that just got released to Spotify. And if it's the one I'm telling you about, it's pretty dark. Hold on, I'm just opening my release schedule. Every single song I release is in this Excel file, and it's telling me when I have to have it uploaded, do I have the images ready, all that shit. What was the last fucking track I did? May the Wave, Dead Girls, Follow the Fear. Twice the. Okay, the last track I did was called Twice the. Twice That is a very dark song. It sounds funny and it sounds cute. Go listen to it on Spotify right now if you want. I'll give you the link. Hold on, give me a sec. I'm going to give you the link. And I'll give you all the details, and then I will tell you about how fucking dark this song is. Quick, Carl, quick. People are waiting, going, hurry the fuck up. the fuck, I go into press and promo. I click on twice the, and then I am going to copy all of the requirements for twice the, because I'm trying to make people think that I have my shit together. In actual fact, I do not. You know, fucking hell. Okay, here we go. I'm Carl and I am together. I'm not, I'm lying to you. Adapt, manipulate, welcome. So there's everything for twice the. Okay. Twice is based on something really dark. And it's based on a whole bunch of frustration and really deep sort of, it's pretty rough. Anyway, so the chorus is how will, basically the punchline is twice the distance from the center to the end. How long is a piece of string? I had the displeasure of going through a horrifying situation recently where the question was continually, how long is this going to go on for? And the nurses who were there looking after my family and myself said they couldn't give you a time of how long the situation would take, and they would say, how long is a piece of string? Because Australian nurses are very funny. They get through everything with humor and they're fucking awesome. So how long is this? How long is this? And they go, how long is a piece of string? And my dad, being the greatest smartass on earth, that's where I get it from, would keep saying twice the distance from the center to the end. That's how long a piece of string is. Piece of string is this one. Well, whatever the center is, it's twice the difference. And thanks, Dad, but you don't really know until you know. But Dad's just being a smartass. So I honored my dad by saying, how long is a piece of string? Twice the distance from the center to the end. And it's like, if I just go into these fucking lyrics. Oh no, wait a minute. They're not lyrics. Oh God, Carl, hurry up. And anybody else can join in at this stage and say, Carl, we don't care. Fuck off. I did angst over these. These are pretty dark ones. Actually, you know what? I'm really happy with the lyrics on this album. You're allowed to admit that it's all too much. It's okay to say that you've had enough. And it's fine to announce that you were through. Just make sure all those leeches can't hear you. So there's a joke. Serious, punchline. Because the content of this song's really fucking heavy. From the pain of life comes strength and wisdom. From heartache and grief comes insight and expansion. As endurance grows, life gets easier, but no one wants to hear that rubbish either. And the chorus is, when will this bullshit end? How much more anger and regret? When will life stop the sting? How long is a piece of string? So yeah, it was written while my family was going through Mum's passing. And so, you know, all you have is imagination. What did you create with it? A salary job where you are hating every minute. There comes a point you realize you can't win. And even if you did, the prize is only in your dreams. When will I be exposed for the fraud I am? A walking, explosive, corrosive media campaign. If I can't change the world, then I'll stir up doom. But it's reassuring to know that there's therapy for that too. And that was all very serious, but then I stole a whole bunch of disses from drag queens, because at the LGBT Center, we do this thing where these drag queens go up and diss each other. And I was just writing down these disses because I just felt it needed to get funny. Your internal monologue is annoyingly loud. Your guacamole recipe is underwhelmingly bland, which if you're in LA, that is the worst diss you can give someone. Your guacamole recipe is underwhelmingly bland. Are you teaching you a lesson, or are you being traumatized? The game plays in a different way. The game plays in a different way when you know you're going to die. Stupid dipshit views have become viruses. You're just an infected host to spread their plague message. To all those meatbags who can't resist, the only choice you ever get is sugar or violence. The only choice you ever get is sugar or violence. So yeah, there's that song. And the amount of shit that I had to go through that those lyrics. And even like this, like I said, I'm really proud of the lyrics. The best lyrics I've ever written are on this album. And it's in the song called Class System, which I think I put on the Patreon only recently. But I'll be saving that for when it comes out. But it's going through these fucking lyrics and trying to say something really fucking heavy, really intense, following it up by a joke. So you're making light of what you're saying. And I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I do. And one thing I'm trying to do with lyrics is like either take an iPad or something, go to a cafe and shout like treat myself to a coffee, sit down for an hour and work on those fucking lyrics. And I'm always trying to reward myself for hard work, and I don't do that in case you haven't noticed. But if I go, I'm going to walk to the Beechwood Cafe, which is like a mile that way. It's a nice walk. And I am going to sit down, get a fucking mocha, and write. And half the time I get there and it's closed. It's like, fuck! Sit down, write lyrics, da-da-da. Or an even better thing to do is print them out. Take a pen and make pen notes. And yeah, and it's, I can't stress it enough. Lyrics are fucking hard. So if there's anyone else, Alistair says, I usually reward myself for hard work before I even start. Yeah, that's good. Dark humor is the best humor. Absolutely. Dying is natural. No other reason has to, dying is natural. No reason it has to be just one formal way. Yes. Wait, and I've got, wow, the song is basically just sounds like how my mind sounds when I'm going through it. Feel the moment of happiness, but remember that that fucking everything sucks. Yeah. Where did you get the inspiration from the cover of Twister? I did a painting. Yeah, thanks. And I hope you like that. Thanks, Brett. You're a fucking legend. That's what I'm trying to get into right now is painting. Just because it's a part of the process. And I did 2 more, by the way. I'm really working on the eyes. I'm really working on those eyes. I'm trying to get, because I look into Frank's eyes. He's got the most beautiful eyes, and I'm trying to build eyes that look like galaxies. And the way you do it is by, this is a rant. Brent, I see your hand. Give me a sec. So I think the way you do good, there's a way that you do eyes. But what I'm doing is doing compounding chaos on top of chaos on top of chaos, and then partly fixing it up, but then partly leaving it because there's a pupil and shading and a reflection on it. Your brain is going to add meaning to it. So it has become a real lesson in walking away. Like the song I'm doing at the moment, it's a Nice Planet 9000 song. There's so many areas of it that aren't finished. That there's vocals that, there's this big vocal line that everyone's singing. There's parts of it that are out of tune. That, not fucking out of tune, but they just, they're wavering a bit. And I've just made a decision that if I leave that in there, it sounds vulnerable. And what is that going to do to the audience's reaction to this piece? That's what I'm interested in. This is all about manipulating people. Man, I had a conversation the other day about, I won't go into it. It's about manipulating people. Really, it is. And either I want to get inside your head and I want to make you angry, or I want to get inside your head and want to make you feel calm. But either way, I want you to feel strong. That's manipulation. Or am I uncovering the truth and the strength that is already inside you? And that's what a lot of music wants to do. That's why we listen to it. I'm ranting. Brett, get me out of this.
So I just wanted to relate with you on the coffee shop. Now, my coffee shop is here. You're seeing it. Where if I'm writing lyrics, it's very much like I described. I'm coming up here. I'm loading up a track. Often when I go into writing lyrics, having a drink helps me. It seems to make my it just seems to make things a little bit more fluid. That comes with negative consequences as well, no doubt about that. But the act of, okay, now it's time to write lyrics. It's one of those things where I know I'm in it for the long haul. For me, I can't come back to it. And I have to sit down with the song. I typically do all my lyrics in Google Docs, and I will generally have an idea of what the subject matter is. Meaning, so a lot of stuff I write, it plays on or a lot of the lyrics I write plays on human emotion as it relates to spiritual entities, if you will. And so I'll generally have an idea of the entity I'm speaking of or speaking about, and then it becomes a matter of what would this thing say. Now, this is where it gets a bit, this is where it gets all muddled up because I'm the one that's actually saying it, so it's definitely coming from my head. But this is where I've also said in the past that sometimes it doesn't quite feel like me. Nonetheless, you're talking about a solid block of time. Like, to write lyrics for a 3-minute song might take me sit down in the studio 8 hours just to get the first draft. And that is literally going through it over and over and over again with a hot mic, sketching. How does this sound? Is this conveying the emotion that I'm trying to get at this moment? And it is it's one of those things that I find that it's I love the instrumentals, but I also like the abruptness of just being able to go fuck you, and there'd be no ambiguity about it. And so at the end of the day, I just kind of wanted to touch on that in terms of the art you've been doing in paintings and such like that. Dude, you're killing it. I've got a couple of your works behind me in the office, and I check them out all the time. And the amount of detail you've got in there puzzles me sometimes. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. Actually, I'm going to answer that. And then I've got some questions for you. The way I get that detail is by using a blade, not a brush. So the blade scratches, and I stole that from Bob Ross, because that's how he makes snow in the mountains and everything, is the blade.
Gotcha.
And as the blade runs out of paint, as it scrapes along, and it achieves this effect. And when you go blade color on top of blade color on top of blade color, you get this remarkable thing going. In fact, if you go dark color, so the color you're using, add a bit of black, tiny bit of black, scrape it. Then go the regular, the natural color without the black, scrape it. Then add a tiny bit of white, scrape it. And the depth you're going to get is insane. And I keep coming back. Happy accidents indeed. And good to see you, Adapt Manipulate. And I do want to talk about drinking, but I'll get to that. I am trying to figure out, how do I create a blade in music? Like, is that, and the mind goes, is that bit crushing? Is it reverb then bit crushing? Is it, think about it. Like
I have a piece back in my older inventory that I tried to do a similar thing with. It's called Oblivion. And it starts very thick, and throughout it, you hear a demonic entity calling for oblivion, and each time he calls, pieces of the song are stripped away until you get to the melody. Maybe that's a suggestion,
Interesting. But yeah, it's something I love about art, and also like in photography, you expose and you underexpose. How do you do that? And it's more, and then there's this other thing that happens in painting where everything, if you're not careful with your paint, everything goes brown.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in music. Shit goes brown.
Like, it's like you talking about silence. You put too much in there and it all turns to brown.
Yeah. And you want it to be stark colors because you can see them. So I'm going to throw it back to you because we're getting into channeling, but I don't want to knock that in until Ivan gets back because that's such a great concept. So do you start with the lyrics or the vocal shapes, or do they both grow together?
They kind of grow together. So typically the way the process starts, if I'm going to write a song that's going to have lyrics, I'm usually defining the bass and drums first and foremost. I want that solid thing that's no matter what, it's the point of reference. It's that thing that's going to ultimately drive you through the next 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5, 6, whatever of chaos. So I'll give you a reference point, and then I'm literally sitting down with the pen at that point, and just scratching them out, line by line, word by word, working for every inch. And I will tell you, it is the hardest thing. It is the most difficult thing to do where it comes down to writing a song, I think for all of us. And at the same time, it's one of those ones that once I have the lyrics, where I want them, and I can sit there and I can perform them, with the attitude that it was meant for, it's hugely satisfying. And that's where I kind of tied it back to therapy a little bit because it honestly is like something got off your chest. It's like, and I mean, I think one of your lyrics there actually just kind of reminded me of it. It's like, are you trauma or? Yeah, kind of yes. It would be my answer to that. So it comes back to that whole thing. We've talked about this in regards to magic and in regards to like conjuring and channeling, and I think they all kind of use the same circuitry in the human brain, and for me they're not so dissimilar. As when I was into different religions and everything else, that was it was an exercise of the same kind. It's bending your mind around concepts and trying to understand them.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So Ivan, Brett just gave a really good fucking lyric rant. And something I want to talk about is the concept of channeling. Oh, before we do, I want to talk about channeling. It's really interesting how I find that under different substance, I am completely, my entire flow changes. For example, coffee is great because it really increases neurological connectivity and problem solving and all of that sort of stuff. But alcohol is really interesting because I go, fuck it. Like all this shit, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, does it? I just want to hear fuck you. That's what I want to hear. And I think that there comes a time to be very caffeinated when you're writing. So you're sharp. And there comes a time to, if you drink, then there comes a time to have a drink and go listen to it with that filter, because sometimes the alcohol filters go, dude, you're wanking. This is a wank. Like you're sounding like Yes. Don't get me wrong. Yes, you're amazing. You're sounding like Rush, but it's a bit of a wank. And what a great wank it is. I gotta tell you, no one strokes the shaft like Rush. But it is a wank nonetheless. Yeah. It's a great wank. And I just really disgusted a lot of people there. But also I think that there's a lot of Rush people who have got long hair and are pissy, right? Did you speak about Getty like that? Well, I just did. Yeah, so that's the really good that's my thoughts, is that, yeah, there comes a time, and just to fucking listen, and just remember that sometimes people are listening to your music, they're going to be fucking drunk, and they don't want to hear you go blah 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 blah. They don't want to hear that. And it's also interesting if that, if marijuana is your thing, because in the state of California it's legal, then perhaps you need to be listening to the music while you're stoned, because if you're stoned, most likely your audience will be as well. And something I haven't had a chance to do myself personally is to listen to Ice Planet 9000 while on mind-altering substances. I'd love to. I'd really like to know what I'd like to say that I was in a situation in a place once where taking acid was legal. So I took that acid. You better fucking believe I took that fucking acid in that country where it is legal to take acid. And I gotta say, Angelspit fucking kicks ass on acid. Like, holy shit, dude. And it's really funny that every time I listen to that specific album, which was The Product, every time I listen to it, I remember, holy fuck, there's a lot going on. There are massive spaceships over Coruscant blasting the fuck out of each other right now. But it was legal. So that's my thoughts on it. Do we want to? We could either talk about drugs now, or we could talk about drugs, or we could talk about channeling, drugs or the devil, because we just talked about sex with Getty and wanking. All right, 3 out of 3 today. Brett, I see your hand. What's going on?
Again, they all mesh back together. Drugs, channeling, music,
drugs, rock and roll.
Drugs, rock and roll, all that good stuff. This is not condoning abuse.
Absolutely.
But it's also ignorant to assume that taking your mind to a different state is unhelpful. That's just ignorance.
Yes.
In fact, if that's it, if doing that is bad, then why is there an entire mental pharmacology industry? Why do we have Zoloft, Paxil, and all those other things to make your brain do one thing or the other? Stop. If I can get it, if I can make my brain do something differently, and I can get something useful out of it, so what? So in that regard, for me, weed is useful for writing music, not lyrics. The things that it does is it tames my ADHD. It tames it enough to where, okay, I hate this piece, I'm out of here. It keeps me in that chair a few more minutes until I'm okay. Like I said, alcohol tends to help me write lyrics, but it doesn't help me perform them. To perform them, I need to be more or less sober, because now you're talking about needing that precision. Caffeine might help, but I generally have a certain amount of caffeine in me anyway. I wake up, I have a coffee. If it's a work day, I probably have had an energy drink somewhere around 2 or 3. These are things that I do to hack my own brain and my own biology and make it do what I want when I need it to do what I want. With that said, everything with a grain of salt. There's nothing wrong with and acid is an underappreciated drug. I'm not going to say it's useful for writing music for me, because I get way too distracted by, oh cool, this sound made that wall move over there, and and then I'm off onto just weird noises. And where it comes to, all I'm saying is they all mesh together ultimately. You want to take that into channeling. One of the things, I forget the guy's name, Amon something or another. He's dubbed the Antichrist. He was or dubbed an Antichrist, I should say. I was listening to an interview with him, and he was talking about the Bible, and he was talking about the drugs in the Bible, and how stoned this entire population really was, and could go back in like ancient Greek and everything else and bring these concepts up. And I'm like, And some of the one of the things that struck me the most is, you know how like Catholic priests often have like the thing of hanging incense, they wave it. Well, his thought was that this is how you got an entire town high, and they would have people sit there packing big ones of these, and literally just going around fumigating the entire freaking town. And I'm like,
Bring that back, or don't bring it back. Just come to California.
Colorado as well. But yeah, and you know, it helps lend another perspective. I'm not going to say it necessarily makes sense for me, but it does help lend another perspective where it comes to all these things and how they're all related.
Okay, thank you. So, just as a sideline, because I do want to talk about channeling, because I feel we need to talk about Satan, because you know we've just covered everything today. That you may be aware that the Hieronymus Bosch paintings of horror were inspired by oh fuck, I forgot its name. The fungus that grows on rye and wheat, ergo. That there was a El Nino that went across Europe in the 1500s, and because the rains came early, so the plants grew ergo, and they just cut that wheat down and ground it up, and so that ground up large quantities of ergo got ground into the flour, got ground into the bread, and Europe tripped fucking balls. And they saw demons and all sorts of shit. That's why we had the witches. They thought witches were flying. And the whole fucking witch thing was because drugs. Because fucking ergo. Because everyone was fucking sky fucking high. And if you ever see the movie Witch by that dude who did The Lighthouse. Oh God, that is a good movie. VVITCH. Jesus, that is a good movie. So there is a split second in there. Yes, Salem also. A split second in there where the farmer is going through the wheat. The father's going through the wheat, and on the wheat is this great big chunk of ergo. Cuts the scene, and it's a mimic, and it's like, oh my God, they're tripping. That's why Black Phillip is talking to them, and that's why all the witches start flying at the end, because they're sky fucking high. And then I've told you about fucking how in the northern Scandinavian areas, reindeer used to eat magic mushrooms, and they'd jump around and dance and go dizzy and crazy. And then the people would eat those mushrooms, and they'd think that the reindeer were flying. So the reindeers got names like Dancer and Prancer. That's why Santa Claus fucking reindeers fly. Mushrooms. Thank you very much. Firmware update for the Homo sapien 2.1 is now available in the form of mushrooms. Yeah, they couldn't handle this shit. Anyway, so thank you, Satan. And just fucking revelations. Come on. The guy goes up onto a hilltop and is sitting there in the grass, and then suddenly the Lord gives him a vision. I'm sure he did. I don't want to take away from faith or anything, but might have a munch while I'm up here. How long have fucking Robert Eggers, thank you. How long have we been talking to Shaman and fucking Peyote and all of this shit? Come on. We're going to go talk to the fucking gods? We're talking to the gods. I'm not putting that into a question at all. Brett, make sure I don't lose you, because I want to talk about channeling. Okay. So Brett brought up this really nice thing about the concept that you devise a character and then you channel that character. And if that character is a demon or whatever, or a storyline or whatever that character is, you are channeling the character, and the song is giving that character a voice. Yet another incredibly potent spiritual thing about music. And Ivan, do you want to jump in on this?
Find an archetype that, like a base archetype, and then you load a character on top of that, and then you give it a voice. To like go through the whole process. And that is like the difference between that and doing like magic is very. There's not a lot of difference. But once you know the archetype, you know everything you would want to about about the character, and the character just kind of fills in blanks after that, or like makes it prettier and gives it color. But like the base character is it's an archetype.
This rant is so fucking important because this is the greatest fucking thing as a musician. If you're in a rut, I am now staring. I'm ready to release the 12th Angelspit album. I'm staring down the barrel of 13 because usually by the time at this time, Alex, you should jump in the chat. Put down the pizza, jump in the chat. Usually at this period of the writing, I've got 2 or 3 tracks ready to go for the next album. By the time the next album's released, which will be probably in the summer, there's the next album, which is number 13, is ready to roll, but it's not because I'm in this fucking rut. And what you are saying is so fucking important, that if you are channeling an idea, because really at the end of the day, people are going to disagree with this, that the highest form of life itself, of existence, is an idea. Ivan disagrees. It's an idea. Oh, it's one of them anyway. But if you have an idea, you can give the idea a voice and you can cloak it in music. It is going to talk about the sound design. It is going to talk about the musicality. It's going to talk about all that shit. And finding that fucking idea, that's where you have to go for a walk and jump on a bus or fucking fuck off or something. Maybe I need to do that. Dice? If I make it, all right, okay, dice. Anybody is currently welcome to jump in about this conversation. Hail Satan. Saw Godspeed You Black Empire the other night, by the way.
So I've got
on the subject of Hail Satan. Brett, go.
I've got a line in a track I call "I Pound the Drums of War," where I'm literally calling out Ninurta, and I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but the line is "Ninurta, do you and show me your wrath." It's just kind of like what Ivan was saying there too. All these characters, that we've been introduced to throughout the world's religions and whatnot. They all have very human, relatable characteristics that come in handy when you're trying to write lyrics. At least for me, I will sit there and I will take a concept like that and I'll go search, hey, what gods match this concept, and will that help at all? And that's actually how I got that one. And that's my kind of form of conjuring, if you will.
I like it a lot. Ivan, tell me more. If you had to give some advice, Ivan, to somebody who is either in a rut or they're starting out or this is a new concept, what would that advice be? Both of you jump in. I'm going to mute my mic so you guys can talk.
Figure out that basic archetype or create one.
And for those, what is it when you say archetype? What do you mean?
The base story of someone's existence. What are they? Are they truthful? Are they a liar? The core bottom part of the things that we use to tell stories. We use archetypes to sort of simplify and organize everything at the bottom level. And like that's why books, stories, and movies all have very similar characters with different dressing on top of them, is because they've used base archetypes, they've thrown dressing on top of it, and like that changes the flavor of what's going on a little bit, but if you're really in tune with what's going on with the archetypes, you'll just spot, oh, that's the, that's the mother or virgin, or the guy with the, you know, like, dead wife in the freezer. These are archetypes that build the story on top of, and it's so normal to use those. It's not even funny.
I'm going to cut you off for a moment there, and I'm just going to say, greatest opening line I've ever heard was what you just said, which is the whore, the virgin mother, and the dead guy with his wife in the freezer.
Yeah, no, because I just described like a crap ton of stories and or movies.
Yeah.
Like using archetypes to come up with the story is so ingrained in being human that like we don't even spend time talking about it.
Yeah, it's very much a way to shortcut, communication. Here's something you're familiar with. I'm going to use this piece of it because it's got a backstory. It's kind of like injecting Batman.
Yes. No, absolutely is. And like orphan kid with parents who'd been murdered. Guess what?
Shakespeare would do a lot of that stuff too, in defining characters. And
Yeah, no, he was definitely understood the value in those in really dealing with the archetypes, because like you take his material, his stories, and you can plug those into whatever surrounding you want. I mean, just look at what Akira Kurosawa did with his stories. He remade them in medieval Japan, and they were still great stories because like he's using those base archetypes so well that like you have to trip over yourself to avoid them.
another way you can do that is actually with physical arts. Things like your paintings and such like that. You start tying these characters into. Carl, you actually do this already. How you take a lot of a blending of like ancient statues and whatnot, and blending that with your face and everything like that. It's that same. It does that exact same thing. It's grabbing those well knowns and incorporating them into it so that you have a more complete message in a shorter amount of time.
Love it. Yeah, thank you. I think that the thing I find hard is finding a quiet place in my mind where I can actually come up with these concepts. And the thing to remember is that this is like a cerebral cortex kind of thing where it's thinking about it all the time, and when it's fucking got an answer, it will bring the answer forward.
Yeah.
I just will say I'm trying to get into the habit of my phone at night. It's only in here because I might be getting a call. My phone at night when I'm sleeping is in the studio. I don't sleep with it next to the bed. And when I'm working in the studio on music, all electronic devices go. Because I've found that I just pick it up and start scrolling. And it's really interesting how that is destroying, and this is getting back to the thing, it's destroying my mind's ability to imagine, to problem solve, and to think conceptually. And I've talked to so many people about, hey, I've got an idea and I want to push this idea. And they just go, nothing there. And years ago, you could have a conversation about an idea or about a something. And plus, I am noticing that my brain is increasingly going, like it's just going, close that shit out. And when you come up with an idea, it just clears the clouds. It just disseminates the clouds. So Yeah, I am. I'm trying to think. Trying to think, and this is a great conversation because it leads into what was going on before as well. Is that if you feel that your album isn't finished, maybe it just needs a core idea and a core concept. That doesn't involve rewriting the music. Maybe it just involves you thinking about what you've got differently, and whatever it is you're comparing your fucking music to that makes you go, the album's not done. Throw that away.
We're currently living in one of those messed up timelines where the good, fully formed people around us are being replaced with NPCs.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and also the thing that really gets me is that I am concerned that I am being uh replaced by an NPC.
Fight that fight every day.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
don't know how to it's so hard to turn it off because I am aware that the massive quantities, talking about internet stuff now, the massive quantities of overstimulation have baked my brain. And people jump up and down about drugs. Drugs do the fucking opposite. It is the fucking, it's the worst drug there is.
Yeah.
It stops creative thought. Like it stops it. Creative problem solving, the ability to come up with a fucking idea is, and the correct term is broken. I don't know what the word is. It is mangled. Like I feel the circuits in my mind no longer connecting, which is why I'm fasting, which is why I'm like desperately trying to fucking, I'm actually on a fast now. Desperately, once a month, 3 days. Dude, it clears it. Dude, one of the guys at work who I actually went to see Godspeed You Black Emperor with, he went on a 6-day fast. And it's really funny that if you can fast, not everyone can fast. If you can fast, give it a try. Your body stops telling you that it's hungry after about 24 hours. And you can take psyllium husks and shit and fool your body. But he went on this fast for 6 fucking days. And it was, one of the shows we were doing was like this really intensely hardcore. It was the gala at the LGBT Center. So it meant a lot because there's a bunch of rich people and we're asking for money. And those fuckers came through. Thank you very much. Dude, if you're concerned about the current bullshit, I got intel on you, baby. Let me tell you, we the people are saying, fuck you. Anyway. Yeah, and he was fasting. And I was watching, I know this guy's stress levels very well. His stress levels were down, his humor was up, his problem solving was up. All of these things were up. And for some people, it's not like that. If you fast, you crawl up in a ball and you fucking die. But it's like, it's really interesting how some people work, some people don't. Anyway, my point is that trying to find that area, and that's the thing about going to get a coffee, is that you are going. You're leaving the house, as much as Frank doesn't like that. And I'm walking to a coffee shop, and that's a mile away or something. Here and back is a mile, easily a mile. You are sitting down in a different environment, in a different room that sounds different. There are different acoustics, believe me, that matters. There are the sounds of conversations all around you. Everything about it is different. There are different smells. You're treating yourself to a coffee. For me, that's a treat. Then, once you're done, you are walking home and probably running at the end bit because you've got to go to the toilet. And if you can walk. Don't take, or park your car a mile away. Because it's the walking and all of that stuff that's really important. There you go, rant. Please, somebody jump in.
So I've got a kind of version of fasting. It doesn't involve food, but I still want my food. But mine is more. So at the end of the day, I'm still an introvert, and while I'm able to, be out and open and do stuff, I'm not like in my little closet. It nonetheless being working, interacting with people, all these things they have a toll. You know, it wears me down. And my version of fasting is just get outside, sit in a chair, no music, nothing. Maybe some conversation, but just the breeze, nature, and literally things that I can't produce. And for me, it does that sort of thing that you talk about with clarity and everything else. Whatever you do to give yourself that reset is literally, it's going to be beneficial for you, whether that be fasting or like what I'm talking about, just getting into non-human sounds of sorts. You know, get away from it all. You know, there's something to be said for that being and its value.
Okay, can we throw this one open? And I'm reading the comments as well. Thoughts about how you get out of your head. And extra points are going to be awarded for physically leaving the house. Is it fishing? Is it cleaning up the chickens? What is it? To get out of your head so you can make your music better. Maybe it's even writing an instrument. Go.
For me, there's a lot of different means for that. One, woodworking, get out, get away, listen to the sound of a lathe for a little while, just go woo, 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 you know? Like I said, already sitting outside when it's a nice day, listen to the birds chirp, listen to the creatures crawling around, play with the deer, chickens, whatever. Another thing that recently I bought a boat, and quite honestly, going and exploring places that you can't reach with your feet has become rather engaging. You know, I went to go fishing. I ended up just exploring, and I don't hate it.
Okay, cool. Ivan, what about you?
Woodworking is definitely a thing. I, will always point out that the Euro rack is a gateway drug to woodworking because you end up needing cases, and that's what the wood shop's for. And it gives you a chance to do some like precision measuring, and because I take the like traditional like Japanese approach to woodworking. I don't really have a lot of power tools, but I've got some very, very nice hand saws and chisels and planes that are sharp enough that if you look at them wrong, you will start bleeding.
That's great. That's really great. And also, this is the thing about stuff like woodwork is that these things, which are physical things, for me, everything is about music. And it brings me back to the process of creating music. Even down to woodwork where there's the smell. And then you look at it and it's, okay, I'm going to put the varnish on it now. And the actual process of woodwork and the joins and everything, how do I do this musically? Like I was saying before about painting and shit.
Yeah, let the interacting with the wood gives me a chance to kind of declutter my mind and have imaginations of possibilities, and that will result in ending up in the studio upstairs, like messing around with sounds. Which is a huge step in the right direction. Also, you really can't beat the like moment when the hot blade is like cutting through a piece of maple and it makes the wood shop smell like breakfast.
Hell yeah.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Because this has been great. We've talked about everything today.
The only thing I would add to that is that these activities that we're doing, it's just like the walking a mile to the coffee shop and coming back. They're mental exercises that are good for you, but you can't just do the same thing all the freaking time, or it will just drive you nuts. Just like you can't sit in a chair and that be the only thing you do, or you're going to stroke out, die, have a heart attack, something. You've got to use and abuse the machinery you were given. And when you do so, you're going to burn the candle at every end possible, and at the end of the day, you're going to be like, hey, cool, I got this and this and this and this and this done, and you're going to do that for as long as you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and
Is it- Go
learned a
ahead.
lesson. I've learned a lesson recently. Take care of yourself. You know, be inquisitive about yourself and your own health, and take care of it. Because if you don't, it will jump up and bite you in the ass.
Cool. Yeah, very cool, very true. And I'm thanking everybody for all the conversation that's going on in here. Yeah, thank you very much. To the shore. Love it. Does anybody else, do you want to try a different topic, or do we want to fling on over to MTV TV?
What do we want to talk about yet?
I had on my list lyrics and finishing your damn album.
Yes.
I don't know what else to...
We've kind of gone through my ideas as well. Mine were along how lyrics and therapy kind of work together, and of course, we expanded from that into familiar and unfamiliar territory.
Okay.
Yeah, we might be out of stuff.
Oh, well, this is good. I feel good. Let's call it. Thank you for being part of this. This is every Saturday here on Angelspit's Twitch or YouTube, but it seems to be the Twitch, which is the place to go. Brought to you by Angelspit's Patreon. Thank you so much. It's Boombox. What the hell is Boombox?
Boombox?
Boombox. Jen just said in the comments, Boombox? I don't know about it. I don't know what Boombox is. I have nothing to say about Boombox. Brett is looking at Boombox right now.
Other than one of those shoulder radios.
Yeah. Thank you, Adapt Manipulate. You rock. Cheap views on... Fuck off. I'm gonna remove that. How do I delete this fucker? Fuck off, you fucker. It's a streaming service.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, boombox.io. First all-in-one platform for musicians.
I don't know anything about it. Thank you. What? What have I just done?
Wait.
Diana?
Uh-oh.
Diana, I think something just went wrong in the Twitch chat. How do we unban? Don't know how we unban. Okay. What can I do this? I tell you what, we're going to... Guys, talk among yourselves for a minute.
Yeah, man. Let's figure that out. Looks like this is it's almost like a DAW-less, maybe it includes a DAW production environment?
Oh, good job, Diana. Also, I've got a thing here that there's a whole bunch of messages were deleted by the moderator. I don't know what the hell that's all about. I tell you what, we could look into that and follow that up next week. This is a very weird ending to this. I apologize. Jen, welcome back. We had a glitch in the Matrix, and yeah, no, that was an accident. That was an accident, Jen. That was an accident. Jen got accidentally banned. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh. Totally
so
an accident.
it answers the question is nobody really knows what Boombox is. We might look into it next week.
Yeah.
It looks very interesting. Thank you, Jen, for your understanding. Yeah, so every Saturday, once again, I'm going to go back to the top of the rant. Boom. Patreon. Go join it. It's $3 a month. Or if you don't want to, it's free. Whatever you want. Nebula Suite, please go get it there. There it is. The Industrial Incisions playlist is Booyah. Please go enjoy that playlist. Boom. Because it's fucking awesome. And if you're on that, please pimp it. The Vulture Culture's deep dive on synths is Wednesday night. There it is. Follow it. It's fucking the best community ever. Right now, we're going to raid on over to MTV TV. Actually, before we do, I want to thank Raziel. Please follow Raziel. Raziel's a fucking legend. Thank you, Raziel. We're going to raid to MTV TV. And it's amazing. Let's go see what's going on. So, Diana, let's hook that raid up and make the rock happen. And we'll talk more about Boombox. We'll do some research and find out what Boombox is all about.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There's so much love and distortion in the world. What the fuck? I'm having a really great day on bloody fucking streaming world. Yeah, Diana, let me know when that raid has happened. And there will be fantastic things happening. Have we rated? Have we rated? Have we rated? Have we rated? All right, we rated. Fantastic.